everyone, my name is Hannah Dutton. This is my interpersonal communication project for HSCO 508 for Liberty University. Just a little bit about my background. I live in South Carolina. I've lived here my whole life. I'm from a little town called Lancaster. I'm 24 years old. This year I have been married to my husband for 3 years. He's a youth pastor at our local church, and this October we would have been together 10 years. Last year I graduated with my bachelor's degree in human services from the University of South Carolina, Beaufort. Some things I struggle with are anxiety, depression, and I also have been recently diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So I'm going to be focusing on that a little bit throughout this project. First, we're going to talk about behavioral blend. On uniquelyu.com, we talked about the different types of behavioral blends that create a person, basically. In this, you can see in this diagram that it's split up into DISC, so DIS. The D is active and it's task-oriented. I is active and people-oriented. S is passive and people-oriented. C is passive and task-oriented. With my results, my D was positive, optimistic, controlling, and taking charge. Some examples of my I were delightful, pleasant, and friendly. Some examples of my S were kind, nice, and caring. And my C's were original and creative. Some more continued results. According to uniquelyu.com, I'm categorized as an ISC personality. So the positives from that are strong people skills. I'm known as outgoing and reserved. I stand up for my beliefs, and there's a lot of friendliness involved. The negatives that come out of that is I can be very passive. I'm very poor at quickly making decisions. I need to be more assertive, and there needs to be more self-motivation. Alright, so now we're going to focus on what is communication. According to Stewart in Bridges Not Walls, communication is a continuous, complex, collaborative process of verbal and nonverbal meaning making. There can be good and bad communicators. The good equals someone who listens well and lays out all information clearly. Bad equals someone who is confusing, disrespectful, and etc. Interpersonal communication is a style or kind of communication that occurs when people talk and listen in ways that maximize their personal relationship. On to noise pollution. In our everyday lives, we are overpowered by the noises that go on. It could be at your workplace, it could be just anything in your house. It's anything that gets distracted or that can distract you from any conversations you have. To become an effective listener, you must be able to wash out these noises and be able to concentrate only on the person you're having the conversation with. This is a big way that you can become an empathetic listener. My overreaching goals are, an overreaching goal is one that incorporates and concludes a set of similar goals. My overreaching goal for my life would have to be becoming a better listener, not only professionally but personally. One of my biggest habits is just zoning out while I'm having a conversation with somebody, and I know that's really bad. The related goals I would have to use in my life would be to extinguish as much noise pollution as possible, being aware that I am communicating and that I need to focus in on the conversation, and to never ignore someone. Under my barriers, my barrier 1, which would be my setbacks, is a fear of self-disclosure and rejection. In Bridges Not Walls by Stewart, he discussed sometimes people hide their reactions from others through fear of rejection, fear of a potential or ongoing conflict, or feelings of guilt and shame. Also, he talks about how relationships can deteriorate from a lack of self-disclosure. Barrier number 2, past negative thought patterns. In Peterson's book, he says, as a self-protective device, many of us will learn not to share our feelings. On page 221 of Stewart's book, he discussed how these past thoughts can be self-sabotage and how they can destroy how you think about yourself or how you can communicate with others. Barrier 3, not relying on subtext. This would be like having a conversation. I'll use the example out of the book, having a conversation with your husband and saying, don't you think you play enough golf? But what you're really saying is, I want to spend more time with you. So, you need to think about what you're going to say. So eventually you end up triggering all of the problems you worried you'd create by bringing it up without getting the benefit of clearly saying what you wanted. And then the solutions. For barrier number 1, take the risk. In Ephesians 4:19, Paul tells the church at Ephesus to speak the truth in love. If we do not take the risk, others might not know if something is going on or if something is bothering you. In barrier number 2, create a new thought pattern that will make you feel more positive about yourself. In Burley Allen's Listening the Forgotten Skill, he mentions to identify all of the non-productive and negative thoughts and make amends with yourself. For barrier 3, before discussing anything, think through it and make sure it is clear and you get the point across that you want to make. Do not jump around the subject. My plan of action. Pray for strength to get through the day. Don't let my mental illness get in the way of my everyday life and make me forget everything I've learned. Get an accountability partner that can help me talk through things rationally and tell me if what I am saying is out of line. Allow people to know that I trust them and that they can trust me, and then just to be me. And then my references. Thank y'all. How long was that?
8 minutes.
That's fine.